Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the first of many podcasts called the Human Forum, putting you, capital U, back in humanity. And I'm George Freeman, and I have my co-host Tamara, and she's going to introduce our special guest for our first podcast today. But first, we're going to do one of my all-time favorite attunements that Richard Rudd uses every morning as a practice. And Richard Rudd, for those who don't know, is the founder of a transmission called the Gene Keys, but he was the first student, as he says, of the Gene Keys. And he so graciously created so much of a synthesis for this amazing work. But here is this beautiful attunement. So let's just take a deep breath and may love pour through my soul, weaving us together as one. May light flower in my heart, lending me the grace to transform all fear. May warmth radiate my belly, bringing prosperity to all. May purity shimmer in my bones, filling me with the light of the stars. May kindness resound in my voice, softening the way that lies ahead. May clarity shine through my mind as I lie in the arms of the infinite. May solace abound in my life, touching all who I meet. May solace abound in the world, bringing all beings into perfect union. May solace abound in the world, bringing all beings into perfect union. May solace abound in the world, bringing all beings into perfect union. Mm. Mm. So thank you all for tuning in. It's a special day today. So many synchronicities for me, and I know for everyone here, and probably many of you watching, that have led to you viewing and to us, you know, putting this out there. And so um, I am a Gene Keys guide. I've been with the transmission for about 6.5 years, but I'm in a guide for almost 3. And I have probably been known the most in the Gene Keys for showing up on almost every single community call. I've been on every retreat since COVID, 9 retreats in total, and a 10th one coming up, the Dream Arc. And today is the recording, as of this recording, today is the early bird special for, that is going to be available for people to buy, but you might not get this recording today anyway. I just had to say that because this retreat will be coming up. And the Dream Arc is, as you can tell, me decked out with animals and bees and all this stuff everywhere. That's my sort of way in. I could say my way yin to the Gene Keys. And so I absolutely am passionate and enthusiastic about this podcast and the transmission of the Gene Keys and just humanity. It doesn't, it's life experience to me is the greatest teacher, and whatever has brought, you to this point in life, then that's the beauty of you showing up and being. And so I just have to take a breath here and pause and send it over to my co-host Tamara to introduce herself. So just thank you for tuning in.
Hmm. Thank you, George, and thank you for that lovely attunement, that opening. It really settles the space. And my name is Tamara Bucalo, also known as Flower Gypsy. I am also a Gene Keys guide. I have done, like George, I've done all the retreats, all the courses, all the things. And I did the guides program 3 years ago. And yeah, and here I am today. I am also called Flower Gypsy because my modality as a Gene Keys guide is based on the tarot. I have over 50 years experience. It doesn't make me an expert, but I would say I have expertise in the field. So, and George and I have been knocking around the idea of a collaboration for about 5 years now. We've known each other for quite a while, and back and forth, well, maybe this, maybe that. And, when the stars align, all the things in perfect timing. And speaking of stars, today it is my great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, fellow Gene Keys guide, and galactic astrologer, Jessica Kae. Welcome, Jessica. I'm so excited about this opportunity for you to be here with us on our first podcast, and I look forward to this transmission. So, Jessica, I'd like to share real quickly that I've had the pleasure of you doing your magic with me. And as someone who's not really big on astrology, I'm kind of the Linda Goodman sun sign astrologer person. I know my moon, my sun, my Venus, Mars, but as far as really getting deep into astrology, I'm kind of a newbie, or not very educated in that aspect. But when you did my galactic astrological profile, you did it for my birthday of this past December, and it was such a beautiful present. And in addition to that, even though I might not have fully understood exactly what about the black holes and the asteroids and the Liliths and that sort of thing, I felt it. It just like it settled into me in a really an embodied form, like energetically. So, and I'm excited about it. And I've recommended you to several people who have given feedback that they also were very excited about it. So Jessica, welcome. And if you'll like give us a little, you know, um, background about what galactic astrology is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so, it's been an interesting journey in this life, and I'm a Gene Keys guide. I've done the Gene Keys, and for me, it's beautiful to see that, like seeing those shadow aspects. I can really see those. I have my Scorpio is rising, so that's all about transformation, but then being able to kind of shift those frequencies to the gift, sometimes even to the city if I'm lucky. So it's been an amazing journey. And then along that way, I've worked in mental health for 19 years. So I've really been working on the being, like, how can we take this apart, see what's there, and really help move through traumas, move through challenging aspects. And that's where the galactic astrology came in. So I love how you described it. Some people are like, I have not even had astrology. I don't even know what it is, but I feel called to this. And it really is an activation. So for people that know astrology, it's great because it's more information. It kind of opens up the top of the house and you can kind of see all of the stars. But for even people that don't know astrology, and it's amazing opportunity to see how we fit into the cosmos, how we are part of something much grander than even this earth, and how we fit into this story of humanity. So galactic astrology, where I studied, was under Julia Balaz. She's amazing. She's done so much work with hypnosis and hearing people's stories of where they lived in other lives and other places. And then she also started pulling those charts, seeing like, okay, well, they said that they remember living on Sirius, and here it is. I can see it. So it's, for me, it's that beautiful synchronicity and that connection of knowing who we are deep inside, and then actually seeing the cosmos, astrology, tell us like, oh yeah, you are connected to that star system there. And for me, that just lands in such a very deep and embodied and visceral way. So galactic astrology is Akashic record reading and also looking at the fixed stars. And it's always so fascinating to me, what I pull through when I'm reading people's charts and working with their higher selves to see what's going on. And then I look at their chart and it's like, bing, 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 bing. Here's all of this information. And then like the third aspect is when I meet with them and they're like, I've been thinking about this, or I have, heard this song, or I did this thing. And it's like, oh yeah, right here in your chart. So a lot of what I do is working with people to understand who they are on a grander scale, and not just what the mission of this body is, but what is the mission of our soul in the cosmos? And how does that feed into what we're doing right now? And even what we may be doing in the future, which is just so fascinating. It also shows us, where are we having challenges? And that may not be with this body. It may be due to an existence we had somewhere else. And who's there to help me? We always want to know, who's my guides? And I've known that there's lots of beings out there that want to help me, but who are they? And being able to connect with that frequency on a deeper level, or even hearing, I don't necessarily feel home here. Well, you're not. You're from another galaxy. So
That is actually, I'm sorry, but that's actually one of the things that I wanted to really delve into with you, is that you mentioned star seeds, and that, that's very popular discussion now about people feeling that they're not originally from this planet, that they're seeded from other stars, other galaxies, and how that works in with what you do also. And when you shared that with me, I definitely felt something there. And I've always felt, that we're all aliens to this planet,
yes.
in some way, shape, or form. So that's a very interesting aspect of what you do. And I found it fascinating personally. So thank you for mentioning that.
Well, if you think we have 8 billion people on this planet, and for me, I think this is a time of great change. Like I often have the conversation with your starseed, and by the way, this is your retirement party. Like you've been coming here a lot, and there's a lot going on the earth, but things are culminating in this positive shift. And that's something that even Richard Rudd talks about, even the gene keys, even Ra talks about in human design. Like we're getting ready for this huge shift in humanity. So there are so many beings from all over the galaxy, the universe, that want to be here for this special moment. And we're also kind of tipping the balance, right? So we're pushing that critical mass way over because we want to go as high into those city states as we can. And that's why I say to everyone, we're doing a really important mission here. We may not remember it, but it is part of our larger soul's mission. And that's why we chose to leave our home and come here and do a lot of really important work. And then also for those people and for those, beings that have been here a lot of times, like I feel like I've been here, I feel like I'm ancient and I've been born a million times on this earth. You probably have, because you've been working with humanity through all of those lifetimes to get to this point. And now you want to see, what did all of that work lead to? Well, here it is. We're seeing it happen. So it's a very huge period of tumultuousness, but what comes out of that chaos is something beautiful.
Well, I understand that you have prepared George's chart and that you're going to give him a little mini reading. And so maybe we'll segue to that and then come back to maybe some questions in that regard, especially where people can find you and that sort of thing. So
Definitely.
George, are you ready for this?
Well, it's interesting. I'm thinking about like stars, like I love how Richard brings in stars to the seven sacred seals. And I can remember, being on a trip this past year and seeing Orion's belt, and he says the loosed arrow of the hunter, Orion going to Aldebaran in the fourth sacred seal. And so Aldebaran has been a really big star in my life visually and in my, my contemplation with that seal. But I would love to know more about stars, because I feel one of my quotes when I started my journey of seeking the truth of who George Freeman is showing up to be about age 30, I guess, was out of chaos, a star is born. And so here we are today. And I'd love to know more about stars, black holes, anything that, Galactic Astrology is about. I might even want to do it one day.
I mean, hey, if you
Yeah.
do, let me know. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's so fascinating that you mention Orion and Aldebaran. I love the seven sacred seals and love that they're connected to these fixed stars. And for some people, I have done a reading where I'm like, okay, these are the seals that are in your chart. And the interesting thing about that is like, each seal has this beautiful city associated with it. So it's like, okay, when I need help in my communication, what can I bring in? When I need help, what are the angels going to bring in there? When I need help in, how I'm relating to people, what can I bring in? So it's amazing how all of these things are just trickled in there. Because I've had people ask, like, can I get a Gene Keys reading and a Galactic Astrology reading? And it's not like they're like one map on top of the other, but they complement each other so beautifully, where it's like there's so much information that's further explained through the different maps of Gene Keys and through the maps of Galactic Astrology. So it's a beautiful pairing. So I'm excited that you mentioned Orion and Aldebaran and even the nebula. So interestingly enough, you have Orion Nebula in your chart. So you have it in your moon, and you also have it, let's see, because I saw it a couple times and I was like, you also have it in your Pluto. So not everybody has nebulas or black holes or these beautiful portals, because Aldebaran is like a star portal. So it's a place where you can travel through. And you have it both times in your chart where you have it, it's squared, which means, you think of that from a nebula, a star is born. It's beautiful and it's also explosive. When a star explodes into a nebula and then goes back and kind of accretes into a star, like there's this very tumultuous process for that star being created. So you could even say that the story of your life is moving from this nebula, this beautiful place where anything could be created, into this star where it coalesces into like a diamond. And all of the things that you grow through and you learn from are leading to that coalescing into this beautiful star being. So I love that analogy. And this is my response to Tamara earlier. Like, people are already speaking and knowing these things about themselves. And all I really do is I acknowledge it and I validate it. Like, yep, you're 100% right. So, and with Aldebaran, like you have that in your chart. The interesting thing about Aldebaran is it is a star portal. It's always linked with Antares, and it is a place to move from one end of the galaxy to the other.
Mm. Well, can we talk about Cosmic Explorer? I thought I was just being in the present moment, but here we go. Timelessness, here we come.
Yes. Well, and with the timelessness too, you have connections to the Pleiades. And once again, a lot of people think that they're connected to the Pleiades, but not many people actually have those connections in their chart. And you do. So it's about this cosmic explorer. And it's interesting you mentioned timelessness, because it's also about traveling through time. So we talk about star seeds and we think, oh, what's going on with that? Well, there are a lot of star seeds that have come here from the future, and they're bringing information to help Earth at this time. So that's where I say we already know that we've won. We already know that this beautiful reality is shifting, because many of us have already seen it happen. And then we bring that through the timelessness, and that's a gene key. We bring that into our current reality, and that is our gift. So oftentimes people are so down on themselves and they feel like, I haven't done enough in this life. And it's like, no, you are anchoring the energies of the future reality where everything is beautiful. You are anchoring the realities of your star home here, and you're bringing in all of that wisdom. And for you, you mentioned black holes. You also have all four of the major, we call them cosmic supra points. And what that means is black holes. There's a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. And they found about 10 years ago that those black holes are emitting this beautiful green and blue light. That's information that's coming through. That's frequency coming out of there. So the mindset around black holes has shifted. They are portals. They are places where wisdom comes through. They're not just necessarily something that comes, sucks everything in and crushes it and destroys it. They're huge places of transformation. So we have that at the Galactic Center, which I say that's kind of like the translator. So for all of us that are from way, way out there, when we come through that Galactic Center, we get translated into the language of the universe, of this galaxy. And so people can understand us a little bit better. Because if you think you're way, way out there, not only are we from a different country, we're from a different world, in a different galaxy, in a different universe. So that helps.
That's fascinating because I recall when you did my reading, it was on my birthday, and you said at that time on my birthday that this black hole was directly over us at that time. And you mentioned black holes a lot, and that it was a stream of this consciousness that we're only now becoming aware of. So this being said, if I'm hearing you correctly, this is like, we have like in Star Trek when they jump from one time existence to another and all the lights come at you. Is that kind of like what it is? We're actually what they call it, not teleporting. You know what I'm talking about. But
yeah, like beam me up. Beam me up, Scotty.
Going into this hyperspace, into another dimension, other realities. Is that through the black holes that happens?
Definitely. And well, I love that you brought that up. So, like I said, not everybody has black holes in their chart, but that doesn't mean that everybody can't access them. Mm-hmm. So I call it black hole season, starting in September. So I mentioned there's 4 of them. Starting in September, we start getting activated. So they're right above our head. And we experience that all the way through. Usually there's a little bit of space somewhere in the middle of all of that, but September through the end of December, maybe even the beginning of January, we experience that. And if you think about that time of year, and there's all the holidays, but there's also, it's like a lot of tumultuousness. There's a lot of shifting. There's a lot of stuff going on. And that's where we can consciously activate that. And I love to do, if you go on my YouTube channel, The Heart of Jessica, I actually have a Galactic Center meditation. So I encourage people, whether they have the black hole in their chart or not, to go journey to the Galactic Center. And for me, I find it to be a place where it's timelessness, it's weightlessness, and I can bring any question I want. I can also just go there and just breathe. It feels like being in a womb. You're being held by this timelessness, by this wisdom and knowledge. And you can just, like, gravity's not holding you down anymore. You can just kind of be there and expand. And then I pose my question if I have one, and there's no question that's stupid. Like, it helps us with our day-to-day stuff, or it can be something amazing and mind-blowing. It can be anything. Ask that question, sit there in the answer of it, and then bring it into our body, into our cells, into our beingness. Because once again, body is 3D, wormholes, black holes are no D, like it's out of time and space. So when we bring that into the body, then we can leave and come back to the earth and ground really nicely. And we still have that information. Even if we can't access it right away, it's going to naturally flow through us. And it's just nice to be connected to that, because there's this knowing. So for me, every time I go, there's this more and further knowing of things. Doesn't have to make sense, but I look for those synchronicities like George was talking about. And for me, it's hawks. Like, I'll have a hawk come sit right down on my fence and look at me, and I'm like, I know I'm on the right path. So
it's kind of connected to, like, well, with a lot of the transmissions with the gene keys per se, or human design, or any of these, it's on a cellular level, even if it may be on a conscious level. It does transmit on a cellular level. And I'm also curious about, with the idea of these star seeds, about fractals and how we connect as fractal connections within this galactic realm of things.
I gotta say something about the hawk though first before we go, because the hawk is related to the, to the 4th sacred seal. It's related to Epiphany. It's the vision key for the 43rd gene key. And so Well, look at that again. There we go. Aldebaran. However, how do you say that again?
You can say Aldebaran, Aldebaran.
Aldebaran. I
It's
said,
yeah, it's up to
yeah,
you. You get to say it
yeah.
however.
But anyway, yeah, just more synchronicity. So, yeah. Anyway, good take away that question that about the fractals, because I'm loving this too. I'd love to know. Like, I feel like my family, we call ourselves the Freeman Fractals, and this is interesting to have a family outside of Gene Keys that is so connected. Like, we know we've been like doing this for a long time. And so it's just interesting to have that awareness and interesting too that my brother went on vacation to Dominican Republic, and my two sisters and my mom called me from Dominican Republic this morning on a cruise. And I'm like, I'm the only one that's missing out. Like, I gotta go to the Dominican Republic, I don't know. I just had to bring that in, but hope you're having fun, Mom and sisters. And
Well, and I will say real quick on that, you have placements both in your 4th house and your 10th house, and that's being very connected to the family and your ancestors. So when we talk about this fractal, that's where I say we look at this Akashic record and we also look at the galactic. And it's like, what did your divine spark, like when you separated from the divine, what was it that you wanted to do when you came in to this reality? Like, why did the divine say, I'd like a little piece of me to go and do this thing? So that's that fractalization in. And that's where I see these themes. And I'll use you, George, as an example. So there's themes of our souls. What is our soul doing out in the greater world? And or in the greater universes. And for you, I see you traveling a lot. So you're traveling in time, you're traveling in space, and you're bringing a lot of information in around male and female balance, but also being really comfortable in chaotic situations. So if you think about it, the Milky Way galaxy is really masculine and structured, and everything kind of goes in a certain way. And we're devolving a little bit into chaos, and that makes people feel very uncomfortable. But you also have a connection to the Andromedan galaxy, which is very much the feminine principle. And so there is this play of energy there where it's like, oh, I'll be this form or I'll be that form. And it doesn't really matter what form because they're very comfortable in who they are. So all of that moving of energy doesn't matter. So they live in the chaos. They enjoy that mutable quality. And that's some of the strengths that you're bringing into this galaxy is it's safe in chaos. Chaos allows change. Chaos allows freedom, and let's loosen up our concretized 3D description and desire. Like, let's be more free flowing. Let's allow there to be shifting and moving, and let's see what comes out of that play. So that's some of the interesting stuff. So like, what did George's fractal want to do? And then when you came into this embodiment, you really have a lot of very interesting placements with Lilith. And that's around taking Lilith and for those astrology people out there, Lilith and Algol, which is known as the Medusa star. So they're both connected because they are the parts of the feminine that were tossed away. And for you, there's so many placements. It's like, I'm going to take the entire feminine and I'm going to raise it up and see the beauty for what it is. And I'm not going to pick apart what's good and what's bad. It's all feminine. It's all beautiful. Whether it is the mutable qualities, whether it is that yin holding space, whether it is that strong feminine, that strong mother protector, or even the seductress, like all of those aspects are aspects of the feminine. And our society has picked apart what's okay and what's not, and we're suffering because of that. So you've picked up that mantle in this lifetime to say, nope, we're going to take the entire feminine, we're going to have the entire masculine, and we're going to find that balance inside of ourselves with the intention that it's going to shift our reality on the outside in the world around us.
I find that so synchronistic. I find it a synchronicity, I'll say it that way, that as we're recording this, we happen to be in the transit of Gene Key 2, which is the receptive, the ultimate yin energy. It's all feminine. And so yeah, for us to be doing this and talking about these divine feminine aspects of George's chart of, and and it doesn't matter if you're male or female in this our incarnation, it's that inner being that we are, that we bring to this planet. So yeah, and even observing George, I've known him for a while. He is very really devoted to women, to female energies. It doesn't always serve him, but but he has his love for women. It's he's very attached to his mother, his sisters, and women in general. He truly honors women. I can speak to that for him.
Well, I think of it too, Tamara, as a sinky dink. That's a word. That's my urban, glossary of empowerment, sinky dinks. And the core wound vocation in my profile is 1.5. And so here we are in the second gene key, the programming partner. So first gene key is straight up yang, 6 lines, solid, and I know that if there's one codon ring that I have in my profile, but I have to go over to HD to see it because Neptune doesn't come in until you go over to like HD and look it up, is the 14, the 114, the Ring of Fire. And that's why I've got, the turtle, because that's from the dream arc. It's the from the shadow or the fear of prosperity actually is what the 14th gene key turtle is talking about. But I love how the 14th gene key refers to gold. So this is Neptunian energy. And I love how the 14, Richard says, someone with a 14 in their profile is born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe maybe I need to like throw up or something and that silver spoon will come out. I don't know, but it's in there somewhere. Anyway. uh
So I have
so
another question. Like, if let's say that I'm new to Gene Keys, right? But I know a little bit maybe about astrology. And if I were to come to you as a Gene Key guide and a galactic astrologer, and ask you to read my profile, would there be like with the whole profile, or would it be best to start like with one sequence, like your activation sequence? Just curious about how the process might work if I were to come to you from that perspective of wanting my Gene Keys profile read via galactic astrology.
Yeah, I love that. So I usually talked like I have a question like, is there anything specific that you want to know? And so I pose that because you mentioned, there are different sequences. So there's lots of spheres, and there's different sequences. The activation is about our purpose in life. The Venus is about how we relate to others and really healing those core wounds. And the pearl is about how we take that and we bring it out into the world. It is our prosperity that's not just about finances and job, but really what we're doing with the larger world. And so and even with the chart, like the galactic astrology chart is 3 pages long. It's huge. It's so much information. And the Gene Keys profile there's a lot of information and it can feel overwhelming. So usually what I do is find out what people want to know about. What is it that's meeting for you? So we can fit it into one of the sequences, and I can go through those. Or it can also be like picking out, like with George, I'm sitting here and thinking, we were talking about this deep yin, and he's got beauty in his core wound. But there's also, you talk about honoring women, and there's valor, and that is in his IQ. So it really is how focused the person is. Some people want to know, what is my purpose and my mission? I'm having problems with these relationships. Like, it's very targeted. And other ones are like, I don't know. I don't understand. And, I've had some people in pretty dark places. I don't feel like I belong here. And I'm really having a hard time understanding why I'm even here. So that's where, for me, I've been doing mental health for 19 years, and I've done Reiki, I've done astrology, I've learned all kinds of stuff. So for me, it's like the Jessica synthesis. Like, how are we going to pull all this in so that when we leave the conversation, you feel like your questions were answered. So that's where and intuitively, like, I'm very intuitive. I've learned a lot how to harness my ability to connect with source, with people's higher selves, and to really bring in information that is exactly what they need. And that's when I do pre-work, because I don't just, print a chart and I sit down there cold. I usually prepare for about an hour before I meet with people. And I tap into my higher self and their higher self. And I say, hey, whatever they need to hear, whatever will help them right now, whatever information is going to feed their soul. So they may not understand it, but like you said, it literally is an energetic transmission. I mean, I'll be sitting in here doing a chart and all that, and by the time I'm done, I am completely, covered in sweat. Like, there's so much energy coming through me. I do feel like it's a transmission and an activation. And when I look at my chart, like, I am a catalyst. That is my whole purpose, is to provide the right information to help catalyze somebody so that they can move forward with their life where they need to, or to activate them, however we want to use that language. And so so I'm really able to be very versatile, to tap into what's going on, what do you need to hear today? And then I always start, I ask. I write, furious notes. I've got, 3 or 4 pages of stuff that I've written. And I ask them, is there anything specific that you want to know right now? And it's so funny because I'm like, okay, we're gonna, it's already written, like, it's already there. It's already there. And then as I'm doing that transmission for them, more stuff will come through about what they want to hear or what they need to know. And then, they'll say, oh, well, is there anything you want to tell me? And I'll highlight certain things because different people have different things. I love black holes. I love different parts of the chart, but if it's the Lilith that wants to come out, if it's the portals that want to come out, if it's the Chiron, if it's even the planets like South Node, North Node, whatever it is in that chart that wants to come out for that person, I bring it out. And then I always provide time at the end to say, do you have any other questions that I can help you with? And they'll say, oh, well, it may be around communication or relationships. Let me look, and I can pull that through. And then the lovely thing too is I do it by Zoom. I do a recording so they can look at that and digest it and watch it over and over again. And then I have people, a couple months later, like, okay, I have more questions. I want to dig a little bit deeper. And so it's just so versatile and easy, but it is an amalgamation. I mean, as a guide, if somebody came to me and said, I just want gene keys, and then I would work on that. And like, what is it specifically? Like, let's look at that. And I've had some people say, I just can't get into the Venus. Will you help walk me through that? And I can do that also. So I can do just galactic astrology. I can do just gene keys. I can mix them together. I do Reiki. I have a lot of modalities that I have availability to do. And oftentimes I find that people are looking for validation and reassurance around the experience that they've already had, and just a little bit of help to know where they can connect to move forward, because this 3D existence is no joke. It's hard, but like George said, we're all here together to support each other, and it can be our family, but it doesn't have to be,
Yeah, I love how you said that, because I feel like, I have the 44, which is one of the, one of these master gene keys, I feel, in the synthesis, because Richard always is talking about synarchy, and I can feel these patterns coming into my life. And I can really, like, this movie, The Beekeeper, came out just this past winter, and I watched it 4 times. And, the most amazing thing in that movie that I've seen, there's a lot of violence and stuff like that, but there's a purpose for what I could feel to it. And he says at the end, he said, do you work for law or justice? And I can feel this, that vibrates on the inside. And I feel my inner beekeeper. Like, that's like, there's something that's happening. All the people that are starting to show up in my life are like this higher fractal that are forming to move forward into a new way of being in the world. And so it's exciting. And I love how you brought in travel too, for me, because I'm actually talking to a lady about Portugal. There's a person, and so I might be going to Portugal in like maybe 5, 6 weeks. I'm not sure, but how that unfolds, how that manifests. Well, I'm going to go to the Galactic Center and ask some questions, because
I love that.
that's my life. You know, it's like the law of attraction. Go to the galactic center and just be.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
I just want to, I can attest and vouch for the amount of work that she put in prior to even having a meeting with somebody, having the Zoom session, because I was really very impressed with the charts and, you know, the recording. And then you even emailed me my charts so that I could reference them when I listened back to the recording. And you're so thorough and so well versed, and also your passion behind this. You know, that's part of the transmission, in that you believe this yourself. And so it really makes that connection with another, that even if you don't understand it all, again, on a cellular level, on a spiritual level, on a higher frequency level, the information is being received. And I want to publicly thank you for the transmission, and for the session I had with you. I still think about it and I still reference it. And I'm just so grateful for you embodying this gift and this wisdom in this lifetime. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. Um, it's just been an honor to have you as our first guest. And I don't know, we could probably go on and on and on and on. I don't know how long we want to go, but you know. But
Well,
if
I would
there's
like to,
something else that
yeah,
you want to bring in, let's go.
yeah, I would like for you to let people know how they can find you. I know that you're on several different platforms. I think TikTok, YouTube, you know, I know you're in the Gene Keys guides platform, so maybe let people know how to find you.
Sure thing. So, one, I want to say thank you so much. I find it to be such a pleasure and just overwhelmed with gratitude to be your first guest. Like that's a really big deal. So thank you so much. And
Yeah.
I love to see the you know, the birth of this beautiful idea. So much blessings, galactic blessings on this podcast to connect us all, to connect humanity into what we really truly are. So thank you for that. And as far as getting a hold of me, my website is www.theheartofjessica.com. And you can find me on Instagram, uh, instagram.com/theheartofjessica. You can find me on YouTube, and it's, you know, www.youtube.com/@theheartofjessica. You can also search me and find me. So Instagram, I have daily posts about different things that are going on with me personally in my journey. Also, I throw in the stars and remind people, like, how can we look at this a different way, or what's going on with our beingness? That is translated over to YouTube. But one of the beautiful things that YouTube has is it has some meditations, galactic center meditations. I also have my own podcast called In the Flow with a business coach. So that's a lot of fun, and you'll be able to find that on YouTube. And I'm on Facebook too as The Heart of Jessica. So those are Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And I'll be coming out with some stuff later this year on Chiron and probably on the black hole. So if you want to like, subscribe, follow me, you'll get more information on that. And I'll also throw a plug out here for this podcast. If you've enjoyed what we're talking about, like, subscribe, and follow George and Tamara, because it's only going to get better from here. And it's always fun to just have that come right up in my feed and say, oh, I'm excited. Let's see where they're going next.
Oh,
Mm,
thank you. That's so beautiful.
yeah, thank
I
you.
also want to point out that you do these little reels, like
I do.
yeah, and I've seen a few of those and they're really fun. Um, One of them I think was about something to do about blessing your water or something like that.
Yes.
I remember. So yeah, so there's a lot of little things that you do that are just so beneficial to everyone and anyone. And I'm just so honored to know you, and I love you dearly as a dear friend. And thank you again for being here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Any
thank
closing
you.
words, George? Or
Well, I just feel like, you know, angel bumps everywhere, you know? And I do have one thought though. I know you said something about guides. And so I know you brought in Andromedan, you know, Orion, some of these different things. So I'm just wondering, like, is that where I would like know, like, or go to find like guides? Like if I was to like pray to something, you know, besides, I mean, I'm praying, I don't know, to and through myself, but you
Yeah.
know, there's like this, sometimes I like to like talk to my daddy, you know?
Yeah. So in specific, what area, like, is it about like higher learning or like kind of bringing in new information? Or is it about everyday stuff, communication? Like, is there a specific, when you're like, I reach out to my guides mostly around, is there anything that comes to mind?
How about health and vitality?
Oh, okay. Cool. Sixth house. So that's the interesting thing too, is, in these charts in the galactic, anything that's sextile. So it's just a word that says sextile. That means they are your people. They are rooting you on and cheering you, and you have them kind of scattered throughout your chart. So if we talk about health and vitality, well, that's interesting. Where is your sixth house?
This is the bonus, everybody.
This is the bonus.
It's all fascinating. So yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that is going to be the Andromedan. The Andromedan energy is a big deal for you. So if you think about it, Andromeda Galaxy, it's this whole different place. So reaching out to them and saying, hey, help me with
Mm,
this energy that I have to fit it into this body. Help me find that balance. So not just the male female balance, but the balance between that Andromedan and that Milky Way energy. And, Andromedans in general, they're highly intelligent. They're an advanced, they're high frequency. So really asking them to help you navigate how to shift into this beingness, into this body, and also to remember that you have this beautiful essence that's from far, far away, and that's where tapping into your future self might be fun, because your
mm,
future self's already seen everything and how it plays out. And then also really tapping deeply into Mother Earth, because that's
mm,
where the body comes from.
mm,
So, what I see when you say health is that, how is that inner marriage of my being and my body? How does that play together? How do I bring in that Andromedan essence? And how do I marry it with this beautiful earth? And the earth is raising in frequency as we raise in frequency. So the earth is like, bring it in, George, sink that energy down into the earth and help it ascend, because that's one of the reasons you're here, right? We're not just here with humanity ascending. We're here with humanity ascending on a beautiful earth that is ascending. So it's a wild ride, and you've got the energy for it. And the earth is just asking for it. Like, bring those activations in. Let me feel that transformational change energy. And in your first house, that's what you have. You've got Pluto, you've got Uranus, you've got Jupiter. You have these massive, like, you're pushing expansion through transformation and revolution. Like, if I had 3 words for George, transformation, I guess that would be 4 words. Transformation through revolution and expansion. So that's what to think about, that energy. It's wild, it's chaotic, but it's also going to create the world that we're moving into. Was
From
that
just a
all?
little sideline ping that, I mean, that to me kind of explains George's just connection with the animals, with the dream arc,
Yes.
with the earth base, this, yeah, that made a sense to me. I hope it made sense to George, but he's so deeply connected to life of all forms on this planet. So yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I think of it like, to me too, like it's the ring of the, I feel like this ring of the whirlwind energy,
Yeah.
and that's the 4955, and here I am. I just turned 55 a little over a week ago. And I know that the 49 has been so active, even in a call that I hosted yesterday, a person brought in a dream of horses, and with Richard Rudd in the dream and all this stuff. And I was the first one to hear about this dream from her. She brought it into the call, but she actually called me the morning that after she had that dream. And I was like, oh, but I had an epiphany yesterday because I had a psychic reading from somebody that gifted me it, that talked about me working with horses. And I'm like, well, if I look that up, I'm like, oh, I'm to work with revolutionaries. It's an inner job, not like physical horses. It's like, it's this, like I said, the inner beekeeper, the inner revolutionary. So I am so looking forward to how this journey unfolds, because it's just an unfolding. Like, I could sit here and get all mental about it, but why? Just take another breath, get another sip of water, and wait for the next animal to show up and guide me all along the path.
Beautiful, beautiful. Any closing words, Jessica?
Just thank you. And um, for me, I think of Richard. I've been talking about this a lot. Richard said, if we can check in with our heart and see if it's open and move from that place of an open heart. So that's my final closing words, is drop into your heart, pay attention to whether it's open or closed. Try to move from a place of having an open heart. And if it's closed, then spend time nurturing it until it opens, and just allowing the gentleness of being here and now in that present moment to really feed and nourish our souls.
That's truly from the heart of Jessica Kae. Thank you for that. Just so beautiful. And we are going to plan some more of these wonderful podcasts in the future, but you're the best first guest ever. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching. And again, like us, subscribe, and we'll be coming out with so much more, and spotlighting some other beautiful people in humanity as we, put the capital U, back in humanity. So thank you. That means you. So
Thank you.
blessings.